Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Um, so just briefly, the squad has had a few calls since the vote has passed, discussing what would be best ways to I don't know take things further, and basically came up with wait a second. Yeah, with those six growth channels. Most of them been discussed over Discord or on the forum by different community members, and we try kind of to collect everything and work around it into actual action items that we can do, not just the squad members, but everyone in the community. Um, so basically, it's getting influencers and media outlets where we can reach out for and get um, some of them probably would like some kind of sponsorships or rewards and things like that for promoting B.Protocol, but basically reaching out, and some of them don't. We had a few of them already. YouTubers or Twitter accounts, big Twitter accounts, just kind of liking the vision of what B.Protocol is all about and giving either covering the protocol, tutorials, different things that we had already previously. Three, three, three cryptos. One of them, I think, was mentioned a few times over the Discord, and there were a few others as well. So we are kind of trying now to get out from the community. Atom was sharing a link to a form where anyone can just share links, names to Twitter accounts, YouTubers, postcasts, podcast, newsletters, whatever. So we can just reach out to them. Of course, if you know them personally or have direct connection that you can reach out, that would be an amazing step. As the hardest part usually is to get a response, mainly from the bigger ones. So we probably start the main goal for, I think, that we have agreed upon is I don't know, trying a lot of small things and see what works and what doesn't. Um, Hi, Blackzer, if you can just mute your mic, as thanks. Um, so basically, just reaching to as many as we can, and the hardest part is getting a response. Either over Twitter DM, emails, getting comments on YouTube, whatever. It's kind of hard to get response. Not all of them have actual open community communication channels, so it's hard to get an attention. So of course, if you have any, if you're familiar with one of them or have direct connection to any, that would be awesome. Sorry. Um, the third channel is sponsoring events, hackathons, conferences, summits. One example is Gitcoin, having AMAs with other protocols, either those that we collaborate with or can be some kind of part of the growing B.Protocol ecosystem. So all of these can be great, or just sponsoring meme competitions or whatever. Sorry. So for that also, if we can get a list of, events, things that we can either participate in as speakers or sponsors or whatever, we have, in general, we have kind of a limited amount of funds for this kind of cycle for the growth squad. But, just getting this information is so much information is going on in DeFi. So yeah, just getting the community, all around it, that would be awesome. Content creation, again, there's like a few things. Some of them are more educational, like having another whiteboard animation video. We had one a few months ago, explaining how liquidation works in DeFi and what was the value proposition of B Protocol V1. We thought about making something like that for V2, maybe another one for explaining the differences between V1 and V2. These are things that can go out pretty quickly, can take a few days up to a few weeks. And yeah, we need, there's lots of things to do around that. From scripts, finding the right animator. So we have some connections with, with animators that we've been working with previously, but yeah, anything around that is also kind of a way to grow the awareness for B Protocol. Um, there were discussions about community participation, which is also one of the KPIs for the squad, and there were a few names thrown in Discord. Coordinate is one of them. SourceCred was another one, and Rabbit Hole. Rabbit Hole, I can say I've been discussing with the Rabbit Hole team, and currently they're kind of packed. With quests, so they don't have a bandwidth to have more currently, so they are not getting any more applications. So they said they will reach out once they have more bandwidth for to have something with B protocol. So currently we're on hold on that one. Personally, I think Coordinate can be a cool tool to do that. Just allocating a small fund, allocating some B Pro to be rewarded. And basically, it's kind of they have this kind of it's not even a token; it's just some kind of a credit score that you get. They call it gift, and community members can just give those gift scores to other members, and eventually you can redeem your part of the pool of bpro rewards for participating and doing stuff for the protocol. So it's kind of incentivize more users to participate, and it's kind of a gift community. And the last one is an ambassador program. This is kind of big. Like we need someone, I assume, to kind of focalize that, to get it moving. Need to discuss, who would be the better candidates to become B protocol ambassadors. Open up an application form probably, and some screening methods, and yeah, and go forward with that. So this is kind of an initial suggestion for how to split the BPRO allocation for the different channels. Of course, this can change as we're just gonna try and see what works better and what doesn't. So we can change things, but basically this is kind of a draft for the first. Just try and see how it goes. Once we get more offerings, and we see how much everything costs, and what works better than other stuff, so we can decide where to put more funds and where to take some off. Yeah, I guess that's mainly. There's I've kind of scripted what I've said in now, so it's kind of the same. We need to realize, there's kind of B Pro is not very, is not very liquid. So the squad will have to decide how to actually do that, how to use those B Pro to sponsor different. Probably not everyone will be willing to accept B Pro. Not the media outlets, and definitely not animators and things like that. So we need to check that out. Yeah, that's kind of basically what I had in mind sharing. So opening it now for either brainstorming, suggestions, comments, whatever.
Just a quick thought. I do think we should consider offering connection bounties. Basically, if community members can give us a good avenue of communication with something that turns into a true like influencer connection, or a media outlet, that we could reward community members with some portion of that just to kind of
Finder's
incentivize
fee.
connections.
I think it is usually it is referred to as finder's fee, at
Yes, a
least when.
finder's fee. Yes, yes.
Um,
If you think that's a good idea, that is, I think that it could
I
possibly
yeah,
incentivize because it's all connections. All of this is kind of social connections that everybody has. So,
I think if we'll move fast with, for example, with the coordinate guys, I had one call with one of their core team. They kind of like B protocol and the idea behind it, and the fact that we have kind of a live community with high participation. When you compare it to other communities, or maybe less, if you depends probably who you compare it to. I think if we can kind of move fast with that, we can kind of cover all the different contributions that different members can do by using their system. So maybe give it a look, and we can maybe have another call with them. I know there are a few DAOs using them. Bankless DAO is using them, I know, and some others. Um, so yeah, I think that can kind of cover that. Who's doing what, and how to actually allocate those fees, finders fees. Just gifting that to active members in the community.
all right,
And
excellent.
in my mind, the immediate goal that we're looking for is this TVL at 150 million by mid-December, right? That's the main goal, and most activities are looking to support that goal. Would you agree with that, or do you have something else in mind?
I think for now the liquidity mining is kind of focused on that, and I think there's kind of it aligns the incentives of the broader community to get into that KPI, and of course the squad itself as the KPI of that. But I think when I look at the kind of the vision of B protocol, and looking at this kind of experiment that we're doing now with the first growth squad, it's the first time we're trying that in our community. I think maybe we can have that as one goal, but still keeping kind of the broader vision in our head as well, while we're trying to get there. So yeah, definitely, I think we should focus on getting influencers and articles and covers and whatever that we can, talking about the liquidity mining, but I think, and explaining for users what they need to do to participate in the liquidity mining, and basically how to use B protocol for that, importing their maker or compound funds, or depositing into liquidity. But also keep in mind the kind of the bigger vision, and try to give some kind of a good story about B protocol, and why is it why it's kind of a missing piece in the DeFi puzzle. I think that's also important.
I agree.
Thank. Yeah.
I do want to ask as far as the like main YouTube video creation and stuff like that. We had talked about like making scripts for them and such. Do we want to like front load a lot of the work for them, like as far as take care of that for them, and they just worry about the actual content creation, less so the talking points? Is basically what you're thinking right now?
I think it depends. Usually, the best is definitely try for someone outside. Definitely, if we're going for an animator, for example, whiteboard animator from Fiverr, or any other platform, who has no idea, what DeFi is, and crypto in general and things like that, and explaining what B protocol is doing. So better get a script, and this is at least what we did with the first video, and it was kind of successful considering the process. It was concise, it was short, it was came out pretty clear. So I think that would be a good way on, more crypto media outlets and things like that, to have researchers and know how DeFi works and can understand, what B.Protocol is all about, and can put it sometimes in better kind of journalist language, sometimes more attractive to readers, at least, from maybe someone who's not accustomed to write articles and things like that. So we definitely can give them a go. We can script some points, and then they can create out of that. They can create a story.
Sounds good.
So I think if there are more questions or ideas, or anyone has anything to suggest on top of what I presented, or just add think some of them are out of scope, or we should add more things that the squad should try and look after. Of course, we have kind of more the day-to-day stuff, having our Reddit channel boosted and getting more and more, more comments on our Twitch threads, and in general in Discord, and having some other on other Reddits, for example, um, taking part in discussions in other Telegram groups or Discord groups, kind of talking about B.Protocol. Yeah, that can add a lot. For example, I had a chance to join into the Lobster. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's kind of a familiar Telegram group in DeFi, and we had kind of a very active discussion there a few days ago, and it was pretty cool. So I think if we can do that on other channels as well, that's, I think, the best way to grow is organically, from our members, just spreading the word all around.
I agree. And I do have a question that could be completely kind of tangential to this conversation. I do think that most people do follow value propositions for tokens, and I do think that perhaps giving some type of roadmap on the ideas behind the team, kind of bringing together what the formalized version or vision of B-Pro and its value proposition. I think if we hash that out more, people are going to naturally and organically come towards the protocol. But that's kind of, I realize, kind of out of the scope of this exact conversation. But I do think that people follow money, and I think it would be a good thing to kind of push forward some of the
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely we can give it a try, and we all the time we try to better kind of get a better messaging of what B.Protocol is all about. But I agree with that people do follow the money, definitely in DeFi, but they also like a good story. That's
True.
yeah.
But that's the main things I have to say. Anyone else have any suggestions or questions? Oh, Buho, if you're talking, by the way, I can't hear you right now. Just you unmuted, but I don't actually see or hear anything.
Yeah, so I think if there are no more questions or suggestions, we can just keep on the discussion on Discord. Maybe set a more solid thread on the forum for getting more ideas in there, and maybe a good place also to have all the links to the different forums, and so people can engage with that. Though I think for the forum is kind of less people are actually visiting there, but just have it as a place to go for anyone who has ideas or suggestions and things like that. Um, yeah, also maybe a good place on the forum is kind of to give those kind of more personal introduction to the community, to the squad members. So if I don't know if you can do that, I think that might also, um, yeah, be beneficial. Besides of that, yeah, I think there's lots of stuff to do that we can do, and we just I don't know, need to just start executing. Just reaching out and getting those influencers and articles and reviews, just out there and see what works better than others and pursue that.
I agree.
Cool. Any last words from anyone before we kind of wrapping this?
Oh yeah. Good morning.
Hey,
How are you? Nice to meet you.
same.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, I had a problem with my audio, so I couldn't get a hold of everyone before.
You're good.
But I am new to the community, and I really, really like B.Protocol. But over the weekend, if I may, I was taking some notes because of the content that you have, which, by the way, it's great, especially the whiteboard videos. If However, if you allow me to make some propositions that really don't require capital, uh, but do they require is a little bit of, I don't know, patience, I guess, and foster relations. For example, we're sitting in a gold mine right now. When it comes to Ave compound and liquidity, because we already know that their customers are the ones that are going to be very, very interested in using B protocol. Uh, how do we know this? Because they have immediate incentives. Of course, there are other platforms. I'm sure that they have liquidity mining programs or incentive programs with. That being said, uh, when remember we had this community call, I think it was about two days ago. Yeah, there was not a lot of engagement. And the thing is this: a lot of people in the crypto space, uh, I've noticed that they do participate, but it's very rudimental. And a lot of the mistakes, and I could be wrong, of course, that I think that most protocols or platforms do, is that they assume that their clients must know everything because they know about DeFi, and everyone assumes that DeFi is complex, which it is. But I think that everything should be always lowered down to the most common, most elemental and simple thing, so that it's readily accessible to everyone. For example, uh, I think I don't know who I have to speak to, but hopefully someone will help me out. By Sunday, I'm gonna have the B Protocol website translated in Word. Of course, I'm a lawyer, so it's really not my thing in Word in Spanish. And even though I think it's a great website, it's very complex. I mean, the information is highly technical in many places, and I understand that we're trying to like get the people from Aave and Compound, but again, the people, not their programmers. And by that, I don't mean to sound rude, but usually when programmers speak, they use very technical language as well as like doctors between doctors and stuff like that. So like what I put down very concise, so that I don't take more of your time, is write better and simpler content, foster relationships with the team's compound liquidity and other examples, uh, create share content. Somebody can talk to me, and with pleasure, I'm available on Saturdays and Sundays. But pretty much make little pieces of art that have their logo in it, for example, and incentivizing their users and their team to post them in their media. And it's a win-win because we're exposed to their users, and our users see that we are actually, as B Protocol, right, the community, reaching out to other platforms and fostering the relationships. Then, uh, I know someone spoke about earlier about the farming going on, and I think that is great, and should definitely be considered. But ex- it's better to be exposed and that everyone knows about B.Protocol. The other thing is more educational material, and then create a, you said it at the end, but create a story around B.Protocol. And in a way, in DeFi, we can see that stories about the founders are very important. So if you guys are not shy, and I'm talking mostly about Yaron and Ethan, please consider exposing yourself more. I saw a backlist. I think it was a podcast or a YouTube video. I think Yaron was speaking. That was great. And when we do little things like that, I mean, that's how I was able to find out about the community and fell in love with the project. So thank you very much for listening to me, and have a very great day. Carlos, nice to meet you, and greetings from Honduras, everyone.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Carlos. Yeah, this is definitely part of the things we are trying constantly, doing and improving. Simplifying is probably one of the hardest things to do. Simplifying complex concepts. But yeah, definitely agree that giving the simplest messaging out for kind of ordinary, regular users in DeFi to understand what B.Protocol is all about is kind of the main goals, and it's also part of the things that I hope we can achieve together in the community. But yeah, definitely, and I think multiple languages, is always a blessing. Also, can if there's any interest in having kind of a Spanish community in Discord or any other languages, I think that can be part of the ambassador program, and giving ambassadors the way, moderators to become moderators in those channels. Yeah, I think that can be also a great step.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's excellent. I do wonder, Carlos, do you think that it would be a good idea to have more videos that show the use of the UI? In other words, you were kind of describing that most people kind of get lost in the technical jargon, and maybe there should be a push around kind of internationally focused usage videos around V1 and V2, like that show putting in and taking out loans and so on and so forth. It might be not readily available. Do you think that there's something like that that needs to happen?
Uh, Hello.
Yes.
Actually, yes. And if I may, it's because again of the assumption that since we know about B.Protocol, we assume that everyone knows how to use. I'll give you a very good example. I didn't really read the papers in B.Pro, so I went to UMA. I bought some B.Protocol. I minted, and then I got some the two I don't even know the two things, like a lot for one for long and one for short, according to what happens. If we get to 150 million in total value locked, and then I read one paragraph below, you have to ask the B.Pro team. So I wasted some gas unnecessarily, and I mean, I'm not claiming I'm an expert by no means, but I like to think that I know a little bit, and yet that little mistake cost me some gas. And imagine if we did the same thing and it doesn't have to be fancy, by the way, just someone literally that knows what they're doing, and taking like a screen recording of the whole process, which I think it's at the end of the day, trust me, people like it more because it's more approachable instead of someone like in a suit and speaking like that. Of course I could be wrong, but the more practical and easier, the better.
Yeah, and my comment, even Adam, you mentioned the V1, V2. I don't think we should even talk about that, because I mean, is it important for people? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but that could be another level of confusion. I think the focus should be on like how to join, how to onboard, and the short message is this: having a solid backstop enables better capital efficiency down the road. So that's even sounds a little far away for most people, but I think that's maybe the tagline, and most effort should, in my opinion, should be focused on helping people join with a vision that this will grow and give other options down the road. But I think we should not focus on V1, V2, uh, uh, or try to help differentiate those things.
I got you. So you're saying that that's kind of a technical approach and not viewing it in the way that the normal people are gonna view it, which does make sense. I mean, they probably don't care about V1, V2. They want to know how to use it and what it's gonna give them. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, I mean, at the beginning, and there's always people that will get interested in knowing more down the road, and there is some material, and we can always build that. But I don't think that's the main gap right now, to be honest. I think the main gap is the just having people understand what it is, because I think there has been a lot of DeFi knowledge that has been acquired by people, and like you can lend, you can borrow, you can leverage and think like that. So B protocol doesn't fit in any of those categories if you think about it. So it's not comparable to any existing protocol, in my opinion, and so it becomes more difficult to understand for the majority of people. I think maybe that's just my impression, but I think that's where I see the problem.
And if I may, like, remember, we already know who our clients are. Of course, it's liquidity but mainly it's their users. So if we foster the relationships with their teams or whoever's in their marketing, a, a tangible example, I don't know, let's say that Liquidity has a new mining program, and the new company has no conflict of interest with B.Protocol. Could we send let's foster the relationship between Liquidity and get the logo of the new partnership they have, Liquidity, and then on the back end, let's put, all right, so if you want extra benefits, come here. I know the way I'm saying it, maybe I'm not expressing myself well, but I agree with the other friend here that the easier and the better. And I don't know if someone can tell me if I can send some samples of ideas, I'll do it with pleasure, by the way. And if you don't like it, just give me feedback, and hopefully we help each other out.
And one comment on, for example, the liquidity. So Maker, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, you just get the same as Maker, but on top of B protocol, I think the difficulty for people, or what may inhibit them to join, is that you have to unwind and then get in. So we need to educate that you can do it with this one-step approach versus unwinding. I think that's clear. On liquidity per se, I've been doing. I joined the liquidity protocol since the beginning, so I didn't realize that you start accumulating ETH, that your LUSD gets converted into ETH. I mean, I didn't pay attention. I just realized that a couple of weeks ago when I saw that I had the sizable amount of ETH. So, and I would say I'm pretty involved in all this, but you cannot pay attention to everything or follow everything. So even those simple things are not clear to many people. I think just looking at my own understanding of things.
Yeah, I tend to agree. There's on one hand, it's a very technical community. At least is being led by a lot of technical people, but the majority of users are non-technical, and we should cater for them mainly. As we are approaching into more and more V2 integrations, also the UI of the application and the website will have to kind of change. So we've been discussing this internally as well. But yeah, I definitely agree, getting people on the how to use it and what do I get from that, can be definitely the kind of, I think, the motto for for this kind of awareness push, and getting all the more technical parts the MEV, the capital, the MEV, the capital efficiency, improving DeFi ecosystem in general. All of that can come, after that. I think it's an important part in the story, as people like to know at the end, what is it all about. But I agree, first steps might be just, how do I use it? How simple it is, to onboard. And yeah, I think we'll wrap it up now, unless there are any more ideas or requests. And of course, we can keep on the discussion on the growth channel for any ideas. Yeah.
Just one last quick question, by the way. So you said something about a redesign on the UI. I've been contacted throughout the past couple of months by like probably 5 or 6 different devs that I know that are UI devs. Are you guys looking for a UI dev that I should reach out to some of these people, or is it going to be just an internal thing as well? Just as a side question.
Yeah. Currently, we're not thinking. Yeah. Yaron?
No. So currently we have a local one who is not a full-time employee, but so far I think we are fine with him. So no, we are not looking for UI. We do actually starting to look for smart contract developers. So if you get any requests for that, send them over. But yeah, currently we're not looking for UI guy. Yeah. Also, it's important for the UI guy to be close to us. So yeah, we'll stick with the local one.
Makes sense. Cool.
Good. So thanks everyone for participating, and I assume there will be more people watching this recording, which probably will be shared soon. We'll try and make this hopefully a habit, maybe having it every 2 weeks or so, kind of both, discussing what has, been achieved in the last few, since the last call, and also plan ahead. So yeah.
It was great talking.
Same. Thanks, everybody.
Nice to meet you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Nice.
Bye.
Bye. Nice to meet you, Carlos.